Welcome to the Think Generational Wealth Podcast, episode number 36. And I'm your host, Amir Estimo. I know it's been a few weeks. Your boy hasn't recorded a podcast, but just been extremely busy with everything that's going on and trying to remain focused. But like I said before, my goal was to record an episode to drop an episode every Friday. So for me, I need to get back to that, and I want to make sure I'm staying consistent. And I don't want to go long periods of time of not dropping an episode. So I'm also working on trying to move my podcast. Currently, I use Anchor, and I want to use something where I can get more data, more data. So I'm looking at a couple of things, whether it's Lisbon or I think the other one is Buzzsprout. I'm still looking at those two options there. If you are using if you're podcasting, I would love to get in contact with you to know what platform you're using and the feedback. Also, to know how's that going for you. I just need something that's more where I can get more data, and Anchor's cool, and I love the fact that it's free. It got me to start. And I know with Anchor, there's still some limitations to it, but again, it's a great platform. And if you want to release your first podcast, you want to get into the podcast space. It's a very crowded space right now, to the point that I think former President Obama and can't remember the other guy. Um, it's eluding me right now. They just started their own podcast, so everybody's pretty much podcasting these days. So the fact that you're taking the time to listen to this podcast is much appreciated. And I hope this podcast comes to value to you and it moves you to action. So again, this is episode 36. I really didn't I really honestly did not have a particular title in mind. And I'm probably thinking more so of what skills do you have? What skills do you have that are helping you increase your value? Something to that line. I think that's the episode title. What skills do you have or do you need to help increase your value? And the reason I said that is because the last few weeks, I have a financial service company that I am working on currently. And I realized for me is, I'm an IT professional. So now I'm learning about financial services. And lately I've been doing some research about stock and the stock market, learning how to buy stocks, Bitcoin, and also learning about investing in oil, which is a project currently, which is called a solar project that I'm learning too, that I've done some investing. So I've taken a really interest in educating myself because I realize for me is it's something that's not in my vicinity, and now the fact that I'm learning it is I believe you need skills to understand. You got to understand what you're doing because I think with the stock market and investing in stocks or any type of investing you do, the number one thing is education. So for me is I needed to educate myself, and I just didn't want to just start putting money out there and not really educating myself. And I've also did some things when it comes to me and my wife's finances. I've automated a lot of it. So I went into my bank account, set up some type of automation. So it's like a set it and forget it type of thing. And I just want to make sure I do it that way. But the stock investing has I've taken in very interest in. I've always known about the stock market, but never really, I guess I've had a limiting belief of myself. So the reason I'm saying, what skills do you have that's going to help increase your values? Or do you need more skills to increase your value? Even being in the IT professional, being in the IT industry, you got to have skill sets. You got to have certain skill set and you got to continually increase your skills. Because what happens is that once let's say you get a job and you get very stagnant in your growth, then you don't increase in income. And I went through something like that when I switched from the retail industry and now going into IT industry and now learning about different industries. You really realize whether it's real estate, whether it's the stock market, whether it's financial services, it's all about education. And that's where I'm at right now with my life, with my career, with my where do I want to head? Because this podcast, the Think Generational Wealth, is you obviously the goal is to be better than the last generation, right? But how do you get to that point if you don't educate yourself? I myself, I enjoy listening to podcasts because I think it gives you an idea to be able to listen to different voices, not so much get to the point where it doesn't move you to action, but you get different ideas, you get to listen to different people, and also you get all these different perspectives and you get to take a little bit of everything and formulate your own. So, and like I've been learning about data science. I've been learning about. I have a podcast that I listen to that has to do with trading. I have a podcast that does real estate. I have a podcast that talks about achieve your goals and finance. I think once you expand your horizon, you expand your circle of comfort, the more education comes. So for me is I look at this platform that I'm building as a journey because this is a journey. But at the same time, is you got to look at it as you're going to need skills to push yourself, to develop yourself, to help you build wealth. Because if you don't, like when you think of, let's say you put your money into a 401k, IRA, or mutual fund, there's someone that's managing that account, not you, but them. And they have the skill sets. That's why you're paying them. And your goal is to hope that you, at the end of the day, that they're doing their job. And if they're not, your money can go, your money can go bye-bye. So when I talk about skills, think of the particular industry that you're in currently. Whether you have a job or you're an entrepreneur, solopreneur, whatever it is, think of where you at right now and think of where you want to be. I'm currently reading a book by Patrick Bet David. I think that's the author, and it's talk about your next 5 moves. And you have to think if you want to get to a certain aspect of your life, how will you get there? What skills are you going to need to get there? And even if you do have the skills, what other skills that you do need to even advance past that? Because when we talk about the situation of building wealth, wealth takes a certain type of skill mindset to build wealth. And I'm right now in the process. I'm in, and I hope anybody that's listening to this podcast are in that same predicament. They're in the beginning and then they're thinking of the end and even sometime past that. When I say past the end, because when we set a goal for ourselves, sometimes we don't push ourselves past that goal. Once we hit that goal, we get complacent. So if you think about it, you need skill sets, whether it's your job, whether it's your business, whether whatever it is, you need certain skill sets, whether it's leadership, whether it's communication, whether it's, the industry that you're in. Because even for me right now, just to share something with you guys, and I'm in I'm in an organization called Toastmasters, and if a lot of you guys are aware of that, Toastmasters is an organization where basically it's public speaking, helps with your communication and leadership skills. And I decided to join that because I used to have a fear of public speaking, and I wanted to get rid of this fear. And I wanted to learn that if my vision is that, okay, my goal one day is to basically really have my own company, which is where I'm at right now. And I got to be able to learn how to communicate with people. I got to be able to learn how to, let's say if I have to, do a Zoom call, which a lot of us are doing these days based off because of the pandemic. But if I have to be able to communicate to future clients, I could be on a Zoom call that's going to have probably 50 to 100 people on there, 25 sometimes. And if I don't develop those communication skills, how am I going to be able to get that message out to the client? And how am I going to build that relationship to eventually turn that into a profit? I mean, at the end of the day, when you get into business, you're in business to make money, right? But you need these skill sets. And I started to say to myself, what skill sets do I need? Well, the communication, leadership. Well, leadership is okay. If you're building your business, you're going to have to lead people. And if you don't have those skill sets, people are going to find something else to do. So they're going to leave you. They're not going to stick around. So if you're not a great leader, that takes a certain skill set to be a good leader. And even in the industry you're in, start thinking about what skill sets do you need to get better than your current role. Are you happy? Are you content? Even if you're content, you can still get better. Like currently in my company, my job right now, not my company, my job right now is we're looking to transform into automation. That's another skill set I need. So what do I have to do? I got to go put myself out to educate myself and learn about automation because I don't know that skill set. Having that skill set can help me propel me to another part of my career. Also with the leadership and communication skills. So you just had three things right there: communication, leadership, and automation skills. Okay. Now, even if you're own business, what other skill sets do you need? Whether it's leadership, communication, what other skill sets do you marketing? I've taken an interest into marketing because I believe at the end of the day, we're always being marketed to. Turn on the TV, see how many commercials come on there. Look how many commercials come on TV. You're constantly being marketed to. Billboards, newspaper. Open that newspaper. I don't know how many people look at newspapers these days, but the people that still do, look at a newspaper. You'll see someone is marketing to you on the internet. We're all on the internet these days. You're getting some type of marketing. You go on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, any of these platforms, you're being marketed to. Marketing is everywhere. So if you have a business, you need to build a market. You got to have a skill set of marketing or hire someone who's good at that if you're not. But you still got to have other skill sets to the table. So I thought about this and I said, well, when it comes to wealth, how's that applicable? Well, you need skill sets to build wealth because if you're investing, right, investing doesn't just you take your money. The thing is, in life, you either pay with time or money. Those are the two things that happens in life. So if you don't take the time to educate yourself, well, you're going to pay the money to someone to do that for you. So that takes skill sets. You got to have a skill set there. Having a skill set is what makes you more valuable to the marketplace. Jim Rohn says that all the time. If any of you guys know, listen to Jim Rohn. He talks about skill set, personal development, right? So I highly advise anyone to listen to Jim Rohn, Rohn, Jim Rohn, and he talks about skills, having the skill sets, being marketable, more marketable, having those skill sets, being being valuable to the marketplace. Because I realize with this pandemic, a lot of these companies that are not propelling or not exceeding, the reason they're struggling or going out of business is because they did not develop the skill sets needed to continue. I mean, Amazon, Tesla, you look at these companies, their fortune skyrocketed during this pandemic. And then you have some companies like JC Penney who's closing stores down left and right. The innovation, they missed the innovation part of it, right? So now what happens is they struggling. What There you go. Now they're starting to close stores down. What happens when stores close down? People go out of the companies go out of business, and what happens? People lose their job. That is why here in America we are relying on these stimulus checks the government sends to us, which is basically really nothing. You think about it, the first time was 1,200, second time 600, third time, which is they proved it today as of Wednesday, 1,400. So you do the math, that's $3,400 right there. 1,200, 14. I'm sorry, $3,200 right there. 1,200, 1,400. That's 26 plus the six, 3,200. $3,200. What have you done with that money? Have you just left that money into a bank account and let it, generate 0.00001 interest rate? Or are you taking that money, developing, putting it, investing into you learning more skills, okay? Learning more skills, and then to become more valuable to increase your income in the marketplace. So if you don't do the things like increasing your skills, getting better with these things, how can you build wealth in the long run? How can you expect to build wealth? This is think generational wealth. You got to think generational wealth. The goal is to be better than the last generation and to build a legacy that will last for generations. So that takes a certain skill set. So I leave you with this today for episode 36. Where are you right now? Again, whether it's your business or at your job, where are you right now? And think of the skill sets you need to be more valuable. Because whether it's a business, people pay you what people, if you, let's say, for instance, charge, I don't know, $14, $15 an hour to do a job. I'm just thinking out loud here, folks. Don't hold me to this. $14, $15 an hour to do a job. Someone charges 25 to 30. That person believes that their value is 25 to $30 an hour. You don't. Who charge 14, 15, maybe because you don't have the skill sets. Maybe you feel like you don't have the skill set. It's like a tool man coming in to fix something, right? You show up with the hammer, they show up with a toolbox because they know once they open that toolbox, they can pull the hammer, they can pull a wrench, drill, so and so on. You just show up with the hammer. You need more skill sets. That person, they got it. So when you think of even at your job, before you put that application out there, what skill sets that you have, maybe the other people don't have? What's going to make you stand out versus what someone else that they can hire do the same job that you do, but you have more skill sets that are valuable. So take the time, folks. When it comes to building generational wealth, take the moment and the time and stop and think. Where are you at right now in your life? And say, do I have the skill sets? Ask yourself this question. Do I have the skill sets or the skills to be more valuable in the marketplace and build generational wealth? And I'm not saying this, folks, to like brag or anything like that. It's just because I believe in investing in yourself. And I did the math earlier. We've been given, if you've been given, $3,200 from the government in the past year because of this pandemic, if you're here in the States. What are you doing with that money? Are you investing in yourself? Are you investing? And if you are investing, are you educating yourself? That takes a certain skill set. Because for me, I didn't want there's like a very thin line between gambling when you get into the stock market And I didn't want to become a gambler. I didn't want to take money and just throw it into an account and hope and speculate. And I wanted to have the skill sets. And I'm doing that right now because I believe that it's going to take that for me to be educated and have the skill sets needed to continue my journey on building generational wealth and leaving a legacy that lasts, forever. Hopefully, that's the goal, right? So I leave you with this today. I say again, ask yourself this question today. What skill sets do you need? What skill sets do you have? And think of your vision and stretch your vision. I highly recommend this book by Patrick. I think it's Patrick David Bet or Patrick Bet David, one or the other. And it's called Your Next Five Moves. Really read that book, folks. It's a good book. It's a very good book. And he really drives that point home, stretching your vision. So if you're trying to build a business, this is a great book to listening to. Okay. So that's all I have for you today, folks. I just did this podcast. This podcast was kind of, I just basically, I want to say, just be honest, winged it. But it was because of what I've been going through lately, what I've been putting myself position. And also, after reading that book and then just reading other books and then just looking around me and how, the people talking about skill sets, I really thought this was an episode that I could really share. So again, until next week, folks, next week, same time again, I will talk to you guys. Love you guys. And again, what should everybody be doing? Thinking generational wealth. Until next time, see you guys later.
Mr. Alex Productions.